What's going on, brothers and fans? We are back. Andrew and Liam this time. Psalms Frankie. Frankie's actually driving to the airport.
Yeah, there's no more fleshy Frank
No,
for this podcast.
no. He's going to, I think he's flying out of Toronto, going straight to Rome, I believe, and he's going to be in Monza next week for the Monza GP.
Yeah, he's going to Italy. Monday he said he's going to be there.
Lucky bastard.
So, yeah, that'd be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
But he was able to, I think he was able to actually watch the race today.
Yeah.
Dutch Grand Prix just wrapped up. Max Verstappen, back-to-back champion. Home Grand Prix in front of the big home crowd, the Orange Army.
Yeah.
He was loving it, eh?
Yeah, oh, dude, he was. It was electric the whole weekend with the flares, especially.
Pigeons.
The pigeons, yeah, they caused a massive problem.
Pigeons are going to be an issue.
The best is you just see, like, Russell's driving, and then he's just like, yeah, there's just pigeons on the road. I'm thinking, this guy's just roasting other drivers like that, just calling them pigeons.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that because I was on Twitter and I was seeing the same thing, like people tweeting about pigeons. I'm like,
Yeah.
Are they just like creating this chirp and like just saying these drivers are pigeons?
Calling them pigeons.
Lo and behold, I see a video and it's legit
There's
pigeons
4
on the
or 5
track.
pigeons just hanging out.
Just, oh my god, like ready for
They're native. They're native to Zandvoort.
death sentence for these guys.
Yeah.
But I think there's no pigeon carcasses today.
I don't think so. No, there were some that actually came close in that F2 replay.
That was nuts.
Maybe like 4 or 5. It took 4 or 5 cars for the pigeon to move. You think you'd get it? You think you'd get it?
You would think.
You would think.
Where do you start today? I mean, yesterday qualifying was pretty electric too.
It was.
Coming down to the very last lap for Verstappen.
It was a 2/1000th of a second.
Yeah, Leclerc, he basically did all he could.
Yep.
In his lap attempt there, and he was gutted at the end of there. You see that when he was kind of looking at the timing board,
Yes.
and he was just like, "Oh, for fuck's sakes!"
Like that's kind of a great depiction of the entire Ferrari season.
It has because they've been there so many times, right? Like
Yep.
We'll get into the race, but I don't want to get too much ahead right now. But if it's not the driver's fault, it's the strategy just failing them. So the drivers are basically doing everything they possibly can.
100%. And we'll say it week in, week out. That Ferrari's strategy, and they've just been letting them down. The drivers down mainly.
Yeah, 100%.
Like we saw today, like you said, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself,
Yeah.
but like this unsafe release with signs, like that's just one of the things.
Yeah.
And the other, obviously, debacle that they had in the pit lane.
Yeah.
But they don't have anything to show for it. Like there's like no one that has to hold that responsibility on their shoulders.
And also, just in comparison to what we've seen in years past with Mercedes and Red Bull going toe to toe, there's a vast difference between qualifying pace and race pace with these cars.
Oh my God!
Like the Ferraris were starting on the grid P2 and P3 coming from qualifying from yesterday, and they put in like pretty good lap times. I kind of forget what Sainz was.
It was like 110.
That's where he was.
The qualifying, it was like, or it was maybe 111. He was really close to the 110s.
Okay, and then like we said, Leclerc just getting edged out by 0.2 of a second. So
0-2.
0.2, yeah. So they're
Even worse.
their lap times are there when it comes to qualifying, but the race pace, like today, Ferrari just fell off the board.
Yeah, and we've known this too. Mercedes in race form is way different than Mercedes in qualifying form.
Exactly. Yeah.
They've been saying all year that the Mercedes car just picks up on Sunday and Saturday. I mean, they have problems running all their tests and everything. I even this week too with Red Bull, they had a hard time with Max's gearbox failing on Friday. So if the teams are getting rushed like that, then yeah, it's going to kind of throw a wrench into your Saturday. But for Ferrari, they haven't really had a lot of struggles in their practice rounds, their qualifying. They've always been on top in that, but then once it comes down to Sunday, they just can't deliver.
Yeah, they kind of shit the bed when it comes down to crunch time. The most important part of the race weekend obviously is Sunday.
You do all this work and you build up to the race,
Yeah.
but you just can't fucking race.
No, it's like you know how you get like a weighted thing for school. You have like your exam is weighted like 85%. Then you have like a test that's 80 or like 5%, and then your assignments are like 2%.
Yeah.
Ferrari does the 2% and the 5% really fucking.
Yeah.
Good. But then like the biggest chunk of like
Yes.
their syllabus outline is like they just get shit on.
And you would honestly think though, like leading up to Sunday has to be the easiest part of a weekend because everything's come together. You've done all the work up to this point. Now it's just time to do it. They will, even in sports, they say practicing harder than you play.
Yeah, you practice. Yeah, how you practice
harder
how
than
you play. Yeah,
right.
But in the case of Ferrari too, it's like, I had a good point. What was I gonna say? No. Oh, sorry. In the case of Ferrari, it's like we said is correct. They do everything right in qualifying and practice, but those are the things that they can handle on their own. You can't control what happens during the race.
No,
because like when you're doing qualifying, you put your car out there with a gap to be able to get the best race pace for your own car. There's no one in front of you, no dirty air. You can kind of fine tune your car to that.
Yeah.
When it comes to actual race day on Sunday, it's just chaos because you got 20 other cars or 19 or 18 other cars on the grid, all fighting for the same spots, and it's like you can't control the chaos on Sunday.
No.
But I think Ferrari just gets into panic mode when that happens.
But this is why the teams have strategists. They have all of these different...
Shout out Hannah Schmitz.
Yeah, Schmitzy.
Shout out to
Schmitzy.
Schmitzy.
What's going on, Schmitzy? But yeah, like this is why they have strategists. Ferrari clearly has a strategy problem. But Schmitzy probably had maybe 25, 30 different outcomes of what the possibility was right after the safety car for... or the VSC for Sonoda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Bottas safety car was different. Obviously, no one expected that. I don't think any of the teams did. But the VSC, you even saw Yuki. You kind of had maybe 2 or 3 laps where you see, okay, the AlphaTauri's having a hard time. Clearly, I don't know if it was a tire problem or if it was they were strapping on his seatbelt at one point.
I don't even know what the actual.
I think what might have happened. He was on the side of the road or the side of the track, and he was taking his belt off and everything, and then he got the car back. So he's like, everything's unstrapped right now. So then he went back to the pit lane. I think this is what happened.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's actually pretty.
And because I remember
legit.
the announcer said, he's a manager, fired it up. I'm like, okay, well that's probably why he had everything already to get out of the car, ready to go.
Good point.
Jumped the gun a bit. But yeah. So back to the strategy thing. It doesn't seem like Ferrari has. They may have like A to Z plans, but if you can't execute 26 of them,
it's execution. Yeah, it's execution. 100%.
That's what it is. And you can have as many of these plans, as many of these possibilities, but at the end of the day, if you're calling a guy in to come do a pit lane and didn't have his right front tire out, still in the garage in the blankets.
Oh god, such a mess.
Yeah.
One of the funny things that Crofty said actually in the broadcast was it was right after the team radio came on to signs, and he said we can still go. We're canceling Plan C or whatever.
Yeah.
Crofty's like Ferrari strategists are going through the alphabet of strategies, and they're canceling Plan C. That's like
yes,
it's literally the alphabet of strategies. They can get down to Plan H, I, J, K, L, and then fuck yourself. Like it doesn't matter what they're gonna do because like they can't seem to get it right. And I think there's a stat that I don't know if it was Leclerc hasn't been on the podium in 9 races or he hasn't won in 9 races or something like that.
I don't think he's been. He won in France.
Okay.
That was
might have been
I believe that was 4 races ago, France.
Okay.
It was right before that because that was before Hungary.
Right. Yeah.
So France was the last one before, Hungary was the last one before the summer break.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was Silverstone, Austria,
or 9 races since a win.
Yeah, probably
For Ferrari.
or no, no, because they won Silverstone.
What did I say?
They won Silverstone and they won, what's it called? They won that. They won
Hungary.
Austria.
Oh, they won Austria. They won Austria and Silverstone back to back.
And they won France.
The one am I thinking of?
Because Verstappen won in Hungary from P10.
I thought I saw something with a Ferrari stat talking about something with 9 races. Like something's been since 9 races or something. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm. 9 races. Maybe it was like for starting on the front row or something.
Maybe like 1, 2 in the front row.
Maybe
I don't
1, 2,
remember.
but
I don't know.
Clear, like he's definitely been on pole. I think most times this year.
Yeah. And like Leclerc's been the constant. Like Sainz has had his mixed bag of issues all season.
Yeah.
Like ranging from the car almost exploding in Austria and just obviously strategy issues. Him binning the car just on his own merit and everything.
Yeah.
Leclerc kind of has been always there.
Yes.
Like there was the issue where he ran off the track in France.
Yes.
I believe, and he kind of crashed out there, and I think he's in P1 in that position.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, he hasn't really made many mistakes like we've seen before in the past. It's just been
was it Imola?
Issues.
He made a mistake in Imola when he went to the chicane.
That was like,
I think he was in the chase to go back, and he was probably going to pass Verstappen.
He finished P4 there.
He went down to like P9.
Lando got podium. I think Lando got P3.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, he has made some mistakes, and like, yes, there's been more costly than others, but for the most part, Leclerc has done his job at Ferrari, and it's just been. This could be. I know at the beginning of the year there was so much hype with Ferrari because of what they did in testing in Bahrain and Barcelona and how successful they seem like they're going to be, but it may come down to it again where Red Bull just might have a better car.
That's at the end of the day, that's kind of what it looks like. If you're having your qualifying laps within 2 1,000ths of a second, I would say the cars are pretty even. But like we said, it all comes down to race day and race form. The Red Bull in race form has just been
Superior.
unstoppable this year.
Superior.
And even the Mercedes has been giving Ferrari a run for their money more than Red Bull has so far this year.
Just to go to that, constructor standings. Mercedes is only 30 points back now from Ferrari in the constructors.
Yeah.
Coming from where the season started with Mercedes and their porpoising issues, and like there's complete lack of pace with Hamilton.
Yes.
And both Russell starting, P7, P8 some races. I think this is actually a big part due to Russell's success too and what he's been able to do at Mercedes.
Yeah, we did roast him. I roasted him last week.
You did.
It was all me, and I still think he's a whiny bitch.
He is.
But
he's a hell of a driver.
He is a hell of a driver. Like today, I think. Do you want to kind of get into the race now?
Yeah, we'll jump in.
Okay, because this is kind of leading in with talking about the George Russell role at Mercedes. George Russell made that call on his own to go on the soft tires, which I think that's pretty badass. He's just like, you know what, guys, everyone's going on softs. I'm coming in right now. Put me on the soft tires. And yeah, you did lose track position. You gave up Max P2, so instead of Max having to pass 2 Mercedes, you just passed 1. And Lewis was evidently a sitting duck.
Oh yeah,
because it obviously takes longer to heat up your medium tires than soft tires, especially if they're 13 laps old or whatever it was. I think it was 13 laps or something. Mm-hmm. But they had 5 or 6 laps under the safety car, so the tires are cold. George was able to warm up those soft tires, as we saw, and he overtook Lewis in, was it 2 laps, I believe?
Yeah, it was quick. It was quick after Verstappen overtook Lewis.
And I don't want to say that Mercedes fucked Lewis. I feel like George just made a call that the Mercedes pit wall was like, you know what, that could work. Like, let's do that. And they were still able to secure. Verstappen was passing him regardless. Yeah. He was passing Lewis and George. It was going to happen. He had to work a little harder to do it. But at the end of the race, I think he was 5 seconds ahead of George Russell.
Oh, yeah, he pulled away like a motherfucker.
He did. So it was going to happen. It was inevitable. But I think that from Mercedes' standpoint, they thought, wow, if we have one of our drivers at least on the same compound tire as Max, we have a better chance. But then you saw Charles eat up Lewis on the mediums. Lewis could have easily secured a podium if he would have maybe went to softs if Mercedes did a double stack. But again, this is leading back into Abu Dhabi with their track position.
Yep, I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Like they obviously kept Lewis out.
Well,
we don't want to give up track position, but look, it worked. It actually was worse for him.
You think they'll learn from their mistakes?
Exactly.
Like you learn more from your fuck ups than you do from your triumphs, because you learn what not to do next time.
Yeah.
Right. So going back to Abu Dhabi last year, the biggest race of them all. Mm-hmm. Like you said, track position was like the biggest thing. Yeah. Track position and tire wear was like the big, outstanding factor in that race. Mm-hmm. And you would think Mercedes would have done that on their own this race and actually like made improvements. Mm-hmm. Like you said, again, George Russell, hell of a call.
Great call.
And I don't think we would have seen the same reaction from Mercedes' team last year if Bottas was the driver, because I think they give way more confidence and way more leniency to George Russell.
I think so too. But they also know that Lewis isn't fighting for a world championship this year.
There's less to lose.
There is less to lose.
And if they be ballsy.
Exactly. And yeah, like it said last year with the track position, this year with track position, is there a point where you actually just say screw it to track position, especially under a safety car? Because the pack's already bunched up. You're going to be neck and neck with the guy.
Right.
You don't have DRS for 3 laps. It's even for everyone. So at what point do you say, you know what, fuck the track position. Let's just get all on the same set of tires. Everyone has basically an equal advantage. Now it comes down to race pace of the car on its own.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what Mercedes was afraid of, because if they did pit Lewis under the safety car for softs when everyone else did pit, he would have gave up P1 to Verstappen, I think.
Yep.
So then it would have been, okay, we're all on softs. Like, I don't think we're going to be able to pass the Red Bull.
Yeah.
That's probably what they're saying. So they're saying, let's just risk it. Yeah. But by that time, his tires were so chewed up already.
It was a stupid risk on their part. Because you even saw that the Mercedes was very competitive with the Ferrari in terms of race pace today. So they could have had them covered.
But okay, yeah, it's true. But that being said, the Ferrari was not in competitiveness with the Red Bull.
No, it wasn't.
But it wasn't. So if they're saying that we're competitive with the Ferrari, that's our comparison. Mm-hmm. They're not competitive. The Ferrari's not competitive with the Red Bull. So that means that the Mercedes aren't competitive with the Red Bull.
No.
So that must have been in the back of their mind, saying like, okay, if we just can stick out the medium tires for like a little bit longer, try and do this, then we can like risk it that way, because they knew pitting George, they weren't going to win.
No. Well, I think George knew too. I don't think George knew he was going to win when he went on the softs.
Yeah, I don't think he made the call saying, "Get me on the softs because I'm going to win." I think he said, "Get me on the softs so I can pass Lewis."
100%. But if you look in terms
Mercedes
of like
said, "Yeah, sure."
the race pace for Hamilton today, he was actually matching Verstappen's lap times.
He was
with the mediums and Verstappen's softs. So once Max's stops started to fall off, Lewis's mediums, he was starting to gain lap time actually on Max. And they were saying that in order to pass at Zandvoort, you need to make up at least, I think, 1.2 seconds a lap or something like that coming out of the pit lane.
Okay.
And I just remember him saying at the beginning of the race. But it's hard. It's a hard track to overtake, right?
It really is, yeah. And like that being said, like this race in particular, we knew qualifying, like you said, it was going to be like an intense battle, I think.
Yeah.
Because, like you just mentioned, it is hard to make passing here. But
to make passing.
The fuck am I? To make passes.
Yes.
To make passes at this track, it is difficult to do. But, so I thought qualifying was kind of going to be like, I thought it was going to kind of be like a Hungary.
Yes.
Like qualifying is going to be like the tell-all to like, set the tone for the race.
Mm-hmm.
But then as we saw, this was probably the most strategic race we've had so far when it comes to tire wear, pit stops, just because when Tsunoda made his like blunder, whatever it was on lap, what lap was that?
I believe it was like
I didn't put it on
30.
I didn't put it on here.
It was, or it was I think it was lap 40.
It was 40 something. It was 40
because
something.
I remember, I wrote here lap 39 that Red Bull need to make their second stop because at one point
it was just after that. Then.
We're just like, is Max gonna go on hard? Like, you just saw Hamilton's lap times, like he was closing the gap. It was like at one point he was 14 seconds. I'm like, well, if he gets released from the pit lanes, he's gonna be 7 seconds down from Hamilton, and then have to fight through the pack of cars to get up to the front.
Yeah.
I thought like the safety car did roll into Red Bull's hands at the right time, 100%. Even the VSC, I put in the group chat, like, I do not like VSCs.
Yeah, and that's what the broadcast was saying too.
It is just a waste. It's not a waste, but it's just like, yeah, you neutralize it, but if there's an incident, just put the safety car out. Is it really that much worse?
I think they're just trying to limit the amount of laps under caution because when the VSC does come out, it's like maybe a lap and a half you can get.
Yeah,
under
they
the
gain. I think they gain or they lose 10 seconds technically in the pit lane or something like that. That's what it averages out to. So
I think
your
race
stop,
to race it difference.
So if you have say it's a 21-second stop,
I think today was 18. It was the average on like a full, like on like green flag racing, and then under the VSC it's like 12 or something.
Okay,
and then under like a safety car it's like 8 or some shit.
Yes.
So like it is beneficial to do it under the VSC for sure if you can get away with it. But like you said, it's not the greatest idea. Like
no.
And the broadcast was saying too, maybe make a rule change that you cannot pit under VSC. Like slow the cars down, but you can't come into the pit lane. But you can only come in the pit lane on a full safety car.
I don't know.
But then it's like what? But then it's like who are you to tell the teams that they can't make a pit stop?
Yeah. Exactly. So like what the entire race just stops, basically, because all the cars are doing is just going around slowly on the track. It's like a formation lap.
Yeah, they don't bunch up. Obviously,
they don't bunch up. They just stay in the same distance, the same gap, and you say you can't pit. I think they should just get rid of VSC, regardless. I honestly think that it has something to do with less emissions, sort of thing. They don't want to deploy a car.
Yeah,
something that's so micro.
Yeah, and we know by 2030 they want to be fully self-efficient. I think.
Yeah, fully self-efficient, which is pretty sweet.
No, that's amazing.
Cool.
I love it. I'm totally behind it, but it's just the way that they can maybe do it, like, or the way that they are going about things might be the wrong way, and it's going to be a learning curve. They're the first sport trying to take this, to
the next level,
big of a green approach, right? To making their sport as like fuel efficient and eco-friendly as possible. So like kudos to them. Obviously they're the biggest sport that's hurting like the world basically as well.
Exactly. Like so traveling of Formula One is insane.
Yeah, they should take initiative with that. But
they make all of their like boats and planes self-sufficient on fuel too. God. I mean, it's possible.
I think possible, but that's going to be a big test.
It is going to be. Yeah. It's.
But they're trying something. But that's what I'm saying.
Which is cool.
It's going to be a learning curve of like what works and what doesn't. Like maybe the VSC sounds good in theory, but then something like this happens where it's like, okay, well, you just gave the race to another team because you're like, I mean, I don't know. But then it's opportunity too. It's hard to explain.
It's tough to explain. I completely understand what you're saying. But like
I'm arguing myself.
I don't even know how are we going to win this argument.
I'm fighting myself. I'm making points for both sides, and then I shut the fuck up.
It's just like contradicting each time. But I don't know, man. The thing is, too, is as fans and even as like strategists and teams, they actually anticipate having a VSC or a safety car. So I think if you I'm fighting myself now. If you take VSC out of the equation and then you strictly do safety car, well, I mean, that's less likely of a chance.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because they can do a VSC if there is like debris on the track.
Yeah, VSC.
They can do a VSC, have a steward run out there, grab it off the track, and then go.
Yeah. For instance, a flare.
A flare or a pigeon.
A pigeon.
So that's where a VSC comes into play. It lasts 30 seconds.
Yes.
Whereas a full safety car, they got to get the car out there. They got to regroup everyone together. It takes 3 laps to do it.
Yeah, 100%. But I do enjoy that. I enjoy think about how exciting it is having the cars packed up. Like,
oh yeah, because we love racing.
Exactly. It's amazing. And I'm sure like even the drivers and the teams, they like it's something like I said they anticipate, but it's. You think they're probably like, yeah, okay, this is fucking good. Now we're racing. Now we have a better chance.
Michael Massey said it best. Toto, it's a motor race.
Yeah.
We're going to go racing. And that's what we want to see.
Now he's a janitor.
Now he's unemployed. Now he's filing EI with the
government of...
With the European Union.
The UN.
Yeah.
The UN.
This did end up being a pretty exciting race. I mean, it did take a while to get going. It wasn't until, like you said, like the Sonoda ordeal around lap 40 something of 72. It's a 72 lap race. It's a pretty short lap time around Zandvoort, but that happens. The Bottas safety car, which should have been a full safety car, yes.
Yep. He's like right on the main.
Down the main.
Did you
straight.
See Signs overtook right next to Bottas?
So he didn't get a penalty for that though, eh?
I can't believe that. He did a lot of questionable things this race.
Ferrari had
him and Hamilton came together at the beginning of the first turn.
Yeah. Sainz and Ferrari had a day. So it was under the Bottas safety car that he pitted, and then that's when he
which
had
was
the bad
lap
release.
60. Or there was lap 57?
Yeah, so 57. Okay, so Bottas goes in the causes the safety car. Mostly all the cars basically come in at that point. I think actually some cars did have like a couple cars came in like right away because they were in the proper like pit window to be able to come in.
Yes,
so, like some cars were already past the pit lane, so they couldn't do it. So a few cars came in, made pits for new soft tires, pretty much. For like a 15 to 14 laps of racing that they thought was going to happen.
Yep.
And then 57 comes around, and then the entire grid basically makes a pit stop.
Except for Lewis Hamilton.
Again, he wanted to maintain track position. He stayed out in first, but then Verstappen's on soft, Russell's on soft, Leclerc's on soft.
Perez was on mediums.
Perez stayed out on mediums, and then Sainz was also on soft. But during the Sainz pit stop, unsafe release makes contact with Alonso, I believe.
They're just
you just can't
putting more, like Frankie said it best, putting more fuel to fire.
Yeah, and that's coming.
Ferrari today.
And that's coming off a previous pit stop earlier on in the race,
which
was almost 30 seconds.
I think it was. He was sitting stationary for like 12.7 seconds.
Yeah,
because they didn't. So they were trying to make it seem like they didn't have. Sometimes when they put the tire blankets on, they put them around the wrong compound. So they might have brought it back. And then you hear Matteo Binotto say, yeah, no, the team was just absolutely not ready for the pit stop. Yeah. And then they go, how much time do they have? He said, well, he was at the final corner or the second, it comes down to the straight and then you go around up on the banking. Yep. He was coming down, making the right turn before the banking. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly what turn it is. It's 19 or something.
Yeah.
But, which the team does have a lot of time still.
And that's your job.
That's the only job. Like I said, Lloyd Christmas could have done that. You'd be kidding me.
Like when you see like the pit crew in the team garage there, it's literally their chair and then like their parts are right there.
Yes. Like everything they need, and they make it so it's ergonomic, like
100%.
efficient. They make it so that everything is it's like working a car. Like everything is just like, this is one job that you have to do. This is how you do it. And this is the most efficient way of doing it.
Yeah. It's like everyone's in like the same seat probably. Like this is your chair. This is where you sit. This is like the closest distance you can get to your tire. This is your fucking job.
They engineer that stuff.
What if they guys taking like a piss break or something? Are they allowed to go to the bathroom, you think?
They just go in their suits. They're like, Mattia's like, you better piss in your suit, boy.
Because I thought honestly, I swear to God, I thought maybe that was something that was actually happening because 3 out of the 4 tire teams were all there on the scene at the right time.
Could you imagine?
Lorenzo was just taking a piss.
They found
like,
Luigi, Mario and Luigi.
Hey, get over here with your stupido. Like everyone's ready, and then there's the one guy with the gun, just like.
Dude, did you see Checo ran over the gun too?
Yeah, Again, that could be
Like,
another penalty coming Ferrari's way too.
A fine, at least a financial fine, because if
Yeah.
it did cause any type of damage to the Red Bull car, they can
I know, and
fucking incredible.
what I'm starting to notice more and more about our podcast and about our video, we spend most of the time talking about Ferrari opposed to like the winner of the race.
This is a Ferrari podcast, pretty much.
It almost is. I don't want it to be that much because they stink right
But
now.
they're the hot topic in Formula One right now.
For all
there's
the
not
wrong
like-
reasons.
Exactly. But that's what's drawing people into it. 100%.
That's true. I know. I'm not going to complain. I love the content, but
We
it's
do.
just I'd rather be talking about
I want to be
head-to-head battles.
Yes, and or having remember, like I was saying at the beginning, it'd be great to have a 3-horse race at the top.
which we thought we were going to have at
thought
the
we were
beginning of
gonna
the year. All the signs are pointing that direction.
Yep.
Not the Carlos signs, but all the other signs were pointing the direction of a 3-horse race.
The Carlos signs, those signs just point directly to 5-second grid penalties
To
all the
gravel
time.
traps and penalties.
Oh man, but yeah, no, it would be nice to have Formula One like that, and having that's exactly I think what all the fans want. They don't want to have the domination from like that we've had for the last 7 years from just one single person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'll go back again to last year. That's why last year's so exciting and so big for the sport, is because like something can always happen in Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
And like we're seeing now, we have a 30-point difference between Mercedes and Ferrari.
Yep.
And we saw that Mercedes, like you said, given their struggles at the beginning of the year, the porpoising issues, the reliability, a couple of mistakes by the drivers, but they're competing on a constructor's level with Ferrari,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is, I did not expect that, but we always did say don't sleep on Mercedes.
Yeah, and they will see that as a huge success for them because coming off of the new regulations, they knew going off the start of the season that they were going to be down.
Yep.
And they came out and said it. They did the right thing. They did what I wish Ferrari should be doing now. Ferrari or Mercedes got ahead of things and said, "We're not going to be very good.
No.
Like, we're going to be slow for the first X amount of races." Toto Wolff came out and said, we're having
It's
some
gonna be-
issues. Like Lewis
Yep.
came out and said, like the team's not ready. Whatever the case was,
Mhm.
they were getting out ahead of it, saying, "Yes, like we're not going to be so hot." Ferrari, on the other hand, they just keep saying the most
Ridiculous.
they're just very generic, politician answers. Like they're,
no- like-
we're gonna we're trying. Or
yeah,
we're
like
doing
no one
this.
wants to take responsibility for the problem.
And that lies on the head of Mattia Bonotto, 100%.
Absolutely on that curly head,
Curly-headed
that
fuck.
curly-headed fuckhead of his.
He looks like Where's Waldo.
He does look like we're.
Like honestly, this guy's. I mean, I don't
It's
know. And
awful.
I think. What was that? There's something on Twitter the other day that I retweeted and I quote tweeted. See if I can find it here really quick.
Andrew does run our social media.
I do. I try and do what I can for the team. Where was it? It was something about Mattia Bonotto not saying that Ferrari has to make any changes or something like that, or saying something how it's Where is it here?
Who was the guy that?
Here it is. It says Mattia Bonotto says, "I think sometimes we are not doing mistakes when it may have been perceived as a mistake." And then my response was like, if that's true, then this is just ignorance on behalf of him.
Absolutely.
Own your shit.
Him not taking responsibility for all the problems at Ferrari.
You're
Because-
running the show.
Exactly. You're making the calls. You are the one that has control of everyone in the pit garage, and that's your job. You're the team principal.
Mhm.
So you are making the decisions on whether the strategy goes through or what strategy you go on. Ultimately, you're the big dog.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying it's him. Like he's not the one coming out there with the great ideas or not so great ideas.
No.
What goes on behind Ferrari, but he is the final say.
Yes.
He is the one to approve or disapprove. He has his finger on all the buttons, just like every other team principal and
Yep.
every other strategist has.
Yep.
To be able to talk to anybody, he has to be able to listen to all the team radio. So he knows what's going on throughout the team, and he's allowing this shit to happen.
Yep. And like you said, it's all approval. So everything that goes on through the pit lane, it's almost like it's at a request of Mattia.
Exactly.
There's no way that anyone is just making a decision single-handedly on their own. Everything is brought forth as a team effort and then ultimately decided by Mattia.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what it is. So that being said, some responsibility, responsibility has to lie on him for the majority, not some.
Yes.
The majority of responsibility
Majority.
has to rely on him because, again, he is the one making the final call.
Yep.
And if we see it week in, week out, that Ferrari's making the mistakes, someone's got to come for this guy. I feel bad. I don't want to get anyone fired. I'm not saying anyone should be fired.
Well, I think
But
he should definitely be fired.
again, he's the constant.
He is. He's the common denominator.
Yeah.
Is Mattia Binotto. And we have said this. We've talked about this before previously. I think it was maybe race 6 or 7 this year that we were just saying at some point Ferrari, they need to do some in-depth look at who is making the mistakes and who do we need to replace so that we can continuously not make these blatant mistakes. And that, like you said, like that's just ignorance on him.
Yeah.
Of just kind of, what is that? What's that saying? It's like ignorance is bliss or something like that.
Yeah.
Where he just like puts everything in the back of his mind, just puts away, and he's like ignores it. He's like, oh no, I don't think that there's a problem.
Hey guys, my camera died, so here's the game stage for 23 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah, he's living in fairy tale land.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Fantasy Island.
I guess he probably doesn't want to draw attention to himself because like who would?
Yeah.
But as the team principal, you have to own your shit.
Mhm.
Like you see it all the time. And in football, it's probably the biggest thing. Football is the most, like NFL football.
Yep.
Is the most camaraderie based like sport I think there is. Like you're all brothers, you're all getting in the trenches, all like cliches out there.
Yep.
When you see mistakes happen during football games, like NFL games, I got footy fans on my head.
Yeah.
When you see that happening, the head coach gets out at the end of the day, at the end of the game, and does his press conference.
Yep.
And he says, "That's on me." Like he gets out ahead of it and says, "That's my job. I'm the head coach. I got to do better.
There you go.
I got to,
exactly.
This
You're
timeout
owning your
was not-
responsibilities.
this timeout was not the right point. This play that I drew up was not the right call. Even if it's your offensive coordinator who makes the play call, it comes through the coach last.
Yes.
So he overhears it and says, "That was my bad. Like I should have maybe done this or that differently." Binotto's just like,
yeah, but you also have to
It's
look at
okay.
the history of Ferrari. It's almost like they can never do anything wrong and that everything that they do is right and no one can tell them that. And that's just been the Ferrari history. Like we know best. Ferrari knows best.
It is ignorance. It is.
But that's 100% what it is. Clearly,
also,
but
that's Italian culture too when you think about it. That's like very
that
very
is.
arrogant.
Frankie would love this podcast.
Yeah, this would be a good one for
This
Frank.
would be a great one for Frankie.
Maybe we'll try and like tune him in or something during the week. He can
Give us some-
FaceTime in.
Yeah, because he will be in Italy. Wow,
Yeah.
this is a really Italian podcast.
This is it is, and it's unfortunate he's not here. I'm sure he could have a lot to say about this race in particular too.
Yeah, he did in our group chat off camera.
Yeah, he was blowing it up.
Yeah, he was not happy.
So
Sorry, Franklin.
I just think it's another race where again we're focusing on Ferrari, not for any positive reasons that much. I mean, getting a P3 is probably the best they could have done this race.
Yep.
I mean, starting on the grid P2 and P3, you would think they were going to both be finishing the podiums, but again, just shit happens, and we know that happens like to any team in a race.
Yeah, and just another dominant performance by Max Verstappen, and again, props to the Red Bull strategist Schmitzy.
Yeah.
But they always, I find like they always find a way to just get it right. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what? They do get things thrown at them that can benefit them, but they also you can look at how they can hurt them. But they've always made, I feel like, the right decision on the events that have happened. So, for example, the safety car today, pitting Max and putting him on the softs, giving up that position. Yeah, I think that was a really smart call.
He won on a 4-stop.
There you go.
He made 4 pit stops today. And beginning, I mean, when Mercedes
he started on softs. He went on mediums, went on hards, and then he went back on softs.
Yeah, and opposed to the Mercedes who started on mediums and they had the best strategy going for them, they were going to do a 1-stop.
Yeah,
Mercedes was poised to do a 1-stop on mediums to hards, and then again they kind of sewered Lewis a little bit by putting on the mediums when there's a VSC out there, but. I don't know. Again, it just goes to show like you have to be a risk taker. It doesn't always pan out for you.
No.
But if you don't take 100% of the shots, what's the saying? If you don't,
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
that's it. Fuck, I fucked that
Miracle.
one up. Fuck that one up.
Wayne Gretzky.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And Mercedes took a shot with Russell today. Red Bull took a shot with Verstappen again, pitting him on the softs.
Yep. Which was, I think, a smart and actual logical call.
It was. For Russell, again, we'll touch on it again. For Russell to make that call on his own merit, that's smart.
That's really
He's
smart.
a good driver, man.
He is good. He's smart, and he's, like we said, he's like always been like that Mercedes poster boy.
Yeah.
And I think, like, going into next year, too, where all these cars are hopefully going to have all their problems ironed out, like especially the Mercedes, it's going to be great to see Russell and Hamilton battle it out. And we actually did see it today.
We did.
Russell almost came together with Hamilton.
Yep.
I don't know whose fault that was really. Maybe Russell just thought Hamilton was going to move over, but Hamilton did not move over at all.
Bus.
And Yeah, that's flamey. I cannot imagine that it's going to be a happy Mercedes camp for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and we haven't seen anything yet, but I'm sure some stuff's going to come out with Hamilton in his post-race.
I can't wait.
So we'll try and get that out on Twitter as well. Our Twitter feed is @BruzinF1. If you guys want to check that out.
Let's go.
If you guys want to check that out on Twitter, check us out on Instagram. We do posts pretty much daily. Some good content. We'll repost a lot of things.
Yep.
And that's where we share a lot of our outlets to the podcast and to the video portion. We have a YouTube channel as well. We have us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So if you can't find us, that's your fault.
We're on email.
We're
also.
everywhere. Yeah, with the email.
We are on email.
BruzinF1. Was it BruzinF1?
BruzinF1 at gmail.com.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Yep. It's kind of like the name for everything else.
Yeah.
BruzinF1
Bruzin's
at everything. BruzinF1 at everything.
BRZN. It's actually funny. Frankie, when he was... so we got on the hat. We have the merch hats. And
Did you get on the hat? Is that what you guys were texting about? I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, you're in London? I'm like, Frankie's at Andrew's house? What?
Yeah. So we got the merch hats out there. I got Frankie one for him to get to Monza.
Yeah.
So I said, promote the brand out there in Italy and everything. So he goes, oh yeah, sure, for sure, I'll wear it, whatever. But then he goes, by the way, like, what the fuck is Bruzin? Like, he's like, he's like, people are gonna ask me what it is. Like, he's like, my mom's gonna ask me, like, what is this on your head?
Yeah. What is BRZN?
So I had to explain to him. So for all of our followers who don't know,
yes, we're cousins.
We're cousins.
Andrew and I are cousins, but we had a other cousin that, like, we're all brothers. So we called it Bruzin.
Yeah, brother cousins.
Brother cousins.
We got pretty close.
Cousins.
Yeah, like years ago, like we hung out a lot. Got pretty close. So now all of our cousins are Bruzins.
We're all Bruzins, yeah.
So I thought, what other fitting name to use for the podcast? But
The Bruzin F1 podcast. It's great, yeah, and it has a good ring to it too. Bruzin.
Yeah.
I
think it does.
I think it does too.
Some people might hate it, but
I still think it looks like DAZN. Dazen.
We don't talk about that. So yeah, if you guys want to hit us up on any other social media outlets, anything like that, we'll be here. We'll obviously love to respond and love to hear from you.
Absolutely. We do we have been getting on Twitter. Andrew's been getting some feedback from a couple people.
Yep.
So, mainly on the Piastri problem. So
let's get into that if you want.
We do have Piastri in the seat for McLaren 2023. Kind of a fucking dick move by McLaren.
A little bit.
They fucking what was it? When Ricardo finished P18 in Silverstone. He was like, they signed him the next day, Piastri.
And he didn't know that.
And he had no idea up until when they said that he's not renewing his contract, which was last week.
Mm-hmm.
And they bought him out for that, 21 million or something
21 mil, yeah.
And he just found out this weekend that Piastri signed the deal, like, what was Silverstone, 2 months ago?
Yeah, at least. It was back in May.
End of June, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they sat on that for a while.
They did.
So
that means that Piastri. Okay, so before this entire fiasco happened with Fernando Alonso and
fiasco.
Yeah, the fiasco. Yeah, fiasco. So that means that before all of this happened, and Piastri did make that tweet, he was already signed for McLaren next year.
Yeah.
So bad call on Otmar Safnauer, because they 100% knew that this seals the deal, that there was nothing in writing, there was no talks, there was virtually no way that fucking Piastri is racing for Alpine next year.
Yeah, all this was signed behind closed doors before the Vettel retirement announcement, before the Alonso signing,
right after
Aston
Silverstone,
Martin,
dude. That was like a month after.
Yeah, like, because all the Vettel stuff happened right after Hungary, right before the summer break. So this was signed months ago.
Yeah, there was Silverstone, and then it was the French Grand Prix, and then it was Hungary. So that's two races, which is
probably
3 weeks
at least. Yeah,
and then 3-week break, so 6 weeks.
So a month and a half of keeping under wraps. It's almost 2 months to keep it under wraps of the new signing. And I don't know if
bad on Alpine. That means that I think Pierre Gasly's going to Alpine next year.
Yeah, it seems like what's kind of leaning towards. That'd be a good little battle. I mean, he has crazy pace, as we know.
Pierre Gasly.
Yeah.
I mean, this weekend he had was it FP2 or FP3? He had his car. I don't know if he overheated or something.
He had an issue.
Yeah, but
finished P11 this race.
That's not bad.
It's not bad, but
it's not the points. But he's definitely a top 7 driver.
Yeah, and
I would say
I
if
feel
he's in the right car.
Yeah, and I feel like our podcast, like other media outlets too, we talk heavy about like the top cars and top constructors.
Yep.
There are 5 or 6 other teams that also race.
Yes. But there's nothing to really talk about with
no,
those guys.
there's really not. But I mean,
I would say like talking about the Ricardo and the Piastri is like kind of the lowest we're gonna go, and then we have Alonso at Aston Martin next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. And there's not like you hear a lot of news from
like,
Formula One in general on those.
Yeah,
drivers.
when you look at the table at the end of the race results, it's like from P9 and down, it's kind of the same people, just in different positions. Like Gasly and Tsunoda being those AlphaTauris coming off what they did last year, I thought they were going to be so good.
I
fucking thought
I thought they were going to be so good too.
So I think him.
You did. I thought Aston Martin was going to be good.
Yeah, I thought Gasly.
Dude, they were the fastest on the straight this
They
weekend.
were quick.
Vettel was like 306 kilometers an hour.
Shout out Stroll, another P10.
Yeah, I still don't.
You can't take it away from him.
Like this goes back last week when we were talking if he deserves it on merit. I guess. Yeah.
He qualified P8, I think, right?
Yeah. No, P10. He couldn't finish Q3.
Oh, that's right.
But I think what's happening at Aston Martin is they know that Vettel's not coming back next year, so they're not. I don't think they're developing much of Vettel's car.
They're gonna
wait. Give a shit. They're waiting, but all the money is going to be going into Stroll's car for development, which is why we actually see him. I don't know if the last 2 tracks are actually suit Aston Martin well. We know that it's fast in a straight line. So is the Williams. The Williams is really fast in a straight line, but Zandvoort's not a straightforward track.
No, it's definitely not. But we're
Monza,
going somewhere next week. Yep, Monza.
I can't wait.
Italian Grand Prix, one of the biggest.
This is where Ferrari needs this win.
Yeah,
they have to win. And I said if Ferrari wins in Monza this weekend, coming up, I don't think Ferrari is going to win again the rest of the year.
But in their eyes, they might say like all is good now.
It's great. We hit our milestone. We
won
goal. Monza. And 1-2 Ferrari Monza is. I don't know when the last time that happened, so I'm not even gonna go into that and go into those depths. But I'm sure it was a long time ago, a 1-2 in Monza.
That's gotta be like probably with Vettel Raikkonen maybe.
I'm gonna look. I'm not looking it up. I don't want it. It's gonna take a long time to search for.
Probably, but yeah, it's been almost a decade, maybe almost 8 years. I don't even know I don't know. Maybe. That would be the goal clearly, but. Unfortunate for them, there's 2 other navy blue cars that are going to be ahead of them,
and we know how fast the Red Bull is in a straight line.
Yeah, and like you said, like this could be a race where there could be some surprises. Like there could be an Aston Martin finishing P6. There could be Albon.
Williams could be Q3 again.
Get another Q3, yeah, with that big straight.
That's what it is. You have the straight line speed of the car. Mercedes. It's been traditional that the Mercedes power unit has been slower than the Ferrari for the beginning of the year. But now, as we're seeing these cars, the Williams, the Mercedes themselves, the Aston Martin, the Ferrari power or the Mercedes powertrain is coming alive, especially with high ride heights. So we'll see. Like we saw in Belgium last weekend, Albon, you get the ride height up in Belgium. You don't need as much downforce. It's high speed. Pretty much a flat track. Monza's it's a flat track. It's just balls to the wall.
Yep.
So I would expect next weekend to see some Mercedes powered cars to be up in the top 10.
Yeah.
And also the Alpine, the Renault is very fast in a straight line too. So it's next weekend's actually, I think it's gonna be for prediction wise. Do you want to do predictions?
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah.
I would say, okay, you're gonna have a Leclerc Verstappen battle in Q1 and Q3. Leclerc's going to get pole. Okay. I'm just talking top 2.
Yep.
Race day, Verstappen's going to pull it out, and I'm going to say that Ferrari's going to have a fucking implosion again on the strategy.
When in doubt.
Exactly. But it's every weekend.
And they haven't done anything to really steer our minds the other way.
I know.
It's not. They haven't had a spectacular weekend. Maybe
Austria was their last spectacular weekend.
Well, no, that's when Sainz burned out in Austria, didn't he?
Oh, when did Ferrari finish P? Like their last
Back-to-back?
1-2? Did they have a 1-2 this year?
Yeah, I think they definitely had at least a 1-2. But they did win back-to-back races that week, so they won Austria and they won Silverstone,
and then the French Grand Prix too.
Maybe they were back-to-back.
They won 3.
Did they?
Silverstone was Sainz, Austria Leclerc. And France was Leclerc also.
Are you sure he won France?
Did he win France or did Verstappen win France? For some reason, I thought that.
I think Verstappen won France.
I thought that. Here, one sec.
Well, I'm just trying to say that they haven't had like a perfect weekend, and if they did, it might have been like the second race of the year or something.
Yes.
You know, it's been a long time. They've definitely had a lot more like fuck ups than they've had positive results as a team this year.
Oh, sorry. Verstappen won by 10 seconds. And Hamilton and Russell were in. Ferrari wasn't even in the top fucking 3.
In France?
I was completely wrong with that.
So
I was definitely thinking of Austria.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has been a minute since they've so we had Great Britain, and Leclerc won in Austria with Verstappen and Hamilton. Dude, Hamilton's been on the podium.
It's been a handful of times now. He's been there. He's
been
done
on the
his
podium
job.
like from Great Britain until this weekend.
He's done his job
until actually Belgium. He's been on the podium.
Yeah.
So 4 races in a row he's been on the podium, and it's been dude. Out of the last 4 races, you've had 2 Mercedes on the podium.
Yeah, he's kind of clawed his way back. I mean, Russell still has a 30-point advantage on him on the driver standings,
which is realistically a DNF for Russell.
Yeah, it's a no point.
Yeah,
it's a P11 versus a P3 with Hamilton. That's going to claw him right back into it. But again, it just goes back to the early success that Russell had this year. Lewis was not adapting the car as good.
I have the Hamilton interview.
Oh,
right here. Do you want to?
Cue it up.
Cue it up, and I'll just like put my microphone to it or something.
Yeah, try it. Yeah, do that.
We'll see how it goes.
Race, you thought the win was on there, so how are you feeling right now?
I feel okay now, but just up and down in emotions through that race. At the start, obviously the little tangle with Carlos and the worry that I might not finish the race again, and then going through the race and getting on the one stop and really challenging, think we were going to fight for this win. I really thought we were going to be there fighting for this win, and then the safety car came out, completely screwed us, and then I'm sitting there, and I'm in the lead, but I know no matter how good or bad a restart I get, I won't be able to hold these guys up, keep them behind. And then to see it slip through my fingers, there was such an outburst of emotions. So apologies to my team for that, but that's just, also I don't want to apologize in terms of my passion. That's just sometimes how it goes, but there are so many positives to take from today. So many positives in this weekend. We were finally there fighting the Red Bulls today, and that's a great feeling. So I want to take that forwards. Our pit stops were mega, like the best pit stops we had. And when we had those, I was like, geez, these guys are ready for this win. But we were just unfortunate, and we move onwards, and that was.
So it must feel like that first win of this year isn't far away now.
No, it definitely does, but it's like sometimes it's right there with you, and then sometimes it's miles away. So I don't know what to expect in the next races, but I hope that we have another track that suits our car like this one, and if so, we will be bringing down there next again.
Great stuff. Thank you.
There you go, folks.
Not bad.
You've heard it from the horse's mouth.
He is a PR's dream. he just says the right things all the time.
He does. I thought he was actually gonna start crying there.
Yeah.
In the video.
Well,
I just saw it slip through my finger.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he feels hard done by the team.
100%.
And you heard at the beginning of that he was choked up. He was emotional at the beginning of that interview with Lawrence Barretto. But he just comes back and says the right things. He apologized to the team. He says we're going to get him back next time. We're going to just keep fighting. Him making the comment about racing the Red Bulls, I don't know.
I don't really agree with that.
Checo maybe.
Yeah, but not Max.
I mean, and then that's
no way.
You can say you're racing half of the Red Bulls.
I wouldn't say that they were really fighting with the Red Bulls today.
Yeah.
Since I don't think Checo was on form at all this weekend. I don't think that Max likes a relatively pointy car, have a loose rear end. Checo doesn't, but they've been suiting the car more towards what Max likes, and they've always done it more towards what Max likes. So
100%.
I think it was just a tough track for Checo in general, because he was really, really far off the pace from the start of the race too. He was losing a lot to Hamilton, like two seconds, I think, at one point. And and that was just sorry, just watching something on the TV there. But yeah, that was just kind of I felt like just it wasn't Checo's weekend. That's all.
No, and
That's what I
again,
was trying to say.
for him to finish, what did he get, P4?
Well, he got Sainz got the grid penalty.
P5, sorry.
Sainz, he was P6, but Sainz got the 5-second penalty.
Yeah, Perez had a kind of shitty start to the race.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to kind of finish P5, it's not ideal. I mean, starting on the grid,
He was
he was P5. So
Yeah.
he
started and finished.
He finished
P5.
where he started, but in the car, when you see Max doing as good as he is doing, and then
Yes.
where you finish, kind of like what happened last week at Spa with that huge gap that Max had to like every driver, not just
Not
the
just
Mercedes
Checo.
or Ferrari, but to actually Checo too.
Yeah.
He's got to feel a little bit hard done by, but again,
would say so.
He's been Mr. Consistent for them too.
He is. He has been, like you said, Lewis is a PR dream. Perez is a team dream.
Yeah, ultimate
He
teammate.
is just the best, one of the best teammates. You even saw today. He was fighting with Lewis to get him to not, make the undercut on or not. They were technically, it was an undercut, I think. Or no, Hamilton was in the lead. It wasn't. I think Red Bull. Yeah, it was just weird. I don't know what I was trying to go with there.
Just the last.
I got to pee
thing,
so bad right now.
The last thing I want to say before we wrap is, I do want to give Mercedes a little bit more credit because coming into this year, the first few races of the season, they were like, we have to battle Alpine. We have to battle McLaren.
Yeah.
And that's our goal to finish like ahead of those guys. We're going to race Norris hard. We're going to race Alonso and Ocon hard.
Yep.
They've so far surpassed those teams now.
They have.
And they've clawed their way back, and they're saying, we're racing Ferrari now, like 100%.
Oh, for sure. 100%. But I also do think the last two tracks suited this car really well.
It has, but then
And that was, you heard Lewis say, hopefully the next track suit our car well again. And what do we have? Monza next.
and he's had success at Monza.
He has had success. So it's a very high-speed track, straights, like we were saying. So it could be another Mercedes good weekend next weekend, which I didn't really say anything about, but I got to pee so bad.
That's all right. We'll wrap it up.
I got to urinate, everyone.
That's all
I'm going
right.
to urinate all over my pants. I'm going to be like the guy in the Ferrari garage. You piss yourself, son.
Yeah, Luigi.
Hold it in right now, Luigi.
Luigi go pee-pee.
So next weekend, Monza. We're hoping that Frankie's gonna maybe get some.
He's got a scalp ticket. He's got to get
He's
there.
got to get tickets. Frankie, you better get. If you're listening to this, I know you're listening to this. You better be. You're part of the Bros and F1 podcast. You get fucking tickets to go to Monza.
If not, we'll try and get him in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll see if we can get Frankie. We'll get Ferrari Frank live from Italy, which is like basically, what was that from the movie? Just Go With It. It's like that's like watching
I just watched that movie.
Ronald McDonald eating a cheeseburger off the Grimace or something like that.
Oh, the iPod guy. The iMan.
The I-Man.
The
That'd be
iMan.
like Ferrari Frank watching the Ferraris in Italy. I was like watching the I-Man saying go for the iPhone on the iPod.
The man who created the iPod saying go for the iMan on the iPhone.
Yeah.
I literally just watched the movie last
Incredible.
night. I just
It's
watched
incredible.
it last night.
So funny. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Yeah, like Andrew was saying, make sure you guys like and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you guys again next weekend, and make sure you guys follow for daily content.
Yep.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.